Side, please. Side, please. Thank you. Official business, sir. Ma'am, emergency. Please step aside, sir.
Hey, get lost. I'm waiting here, huh?
FBI, you might want to stay out of this, all right, sir? Excuse me, sir. Ma'am, please. Back off. All right, I need 8 double tall.
So you have to wonder, when was it the last time you saw a panel of this size here at 6 Scale Cantina? And you have to wonder, between myself, Doc Smizzle, Mario, Brent, the Star Wars newsman, next to him, Joao right there diagonal to me, and Victoria right next to Joao. Is it me that is the Star Wars wizard? Or is one of them the Star Wars wizard? You have to wonder. But we've got some crazy topics we are going to talk about here tonight. Let's just go ahead and dive into it, baby. Right now. All right. I always gets me going. And welcome to another episode of the Market Value Chart Show, live and raw here at 6 Scale Cantina. And just in case you don't know just who I am the Dark Jedi, Aries Terrington, about to serve up all the Star Wars and all the hot toys talk right here on the channel. And look who we've got. I'm going to go ahead and go right next to me first. We have got Mario, El Professoro. Let's do that again, buddy. I think that looked really good. Damn, I love the way that they lay this out on StreamYard. Goodness gracious. What's up, brother?
Hey, man. How's it going? It's been a while. It's great to see everybody here. And yeah, I'm happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me on tonight.
Yeah, I think we're going to have some hot toys, some 6 Scale figure. I think there's some conversation to be had anyway. Certainly we'll have a lot of topics, Mario. So good to have you in here for sure. And the Star Wars newsman, Brent, I think this is your third show. Great to have you back into the house. What are you drinking tonight, man? I got my spotchka right here, baby.
Oh, I've got a little bit of coffee here, man.
Oh,
a little late night brew. Got the Keurig going.
I got some salt to put in that coffee for you right there. Or is that sugar? You have to wonder. Always good to have the Star Wars newsman in here. And then we're going to go right below me. We have got Doc Smizzle. Hey, man, it was good to have you on here last month. Here you are again. Thank you so much for being in here, my friend.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me again. I look forward to tonight's conversation. It's always fun, a little bit different. And so, yeah, it's been a crazy month. So I'm ready to just kind of shoot the breeze.
Absolutely. Yes, it does get a little bit different with a lot of the stuff that we do in here. We, as you know, Doc, as you watch all the time, we do a lot of this. And you have to wonder, Joao, are we about to do some more of this over the next week?
Oh,
and
I'm
you
sure.
say,
Yes.
You say for sure. Yes.
For sure.
Oof.
It will be a hot week. But thank you for having me. It's been a minute since we streamed together, and I'm happy to be back here, talk about Star Wars, hot toys, and so on. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure to have you in here, my friend. Come on. I know you're coming in there. I'm on Tatooine. I know you're coming all the way from, I don't know, Coruscant or one of those planets
around there. we just drink black melon juice here.
Yes, and you still have your Poe, right? I got my Poe over there.
Oh.
Yes, absolutely.
My Poe is well and alive.
We still got to do That freaking double unboxing.
Unboxing, yeah.
Yes. We got Mario. We have Joao and I have the same quarter scale. We got a quarter scale Poe Dameron with the likeness
Really?
of Oscar Isaac. Well, a likeness of somebody. But
Amazing at sculpt. Amazing at sculpt.
Interesting. All right.
Yes, we're gonna have to do that. And last but certainly not least, my friend Victoria from my other cantina that I go and have a lot of spotchka at, Victoria's Cantina. Victoria, what's going on?
Aries, how's it going? Hello, everybody on the panel. Hello, everybody in the chat hanging out. See if do I have this right? Like, hey, Aries, how's it going? Am I at the right angle? Is that working?
Yes,
Yeah,
that
it's
is working
Cool.
real good.
Well, I'm really digging the whole Brady Bunch thing. So, hey, good to be here. Good to see everybody.
And good to have you in here for sure. And as I mentioned earlier, do they call any one of us this?
They call him the Wizard.
And I say in the chat, you're going to have to let us know which one of us is the wizard. Maybe it's none of us. Maybe the wizard is you tonight, taking on your likeness. Let us know in the chat. Of course, the OG fan, when Star Wars was just Star Wars, is in the cantina. And as usual, wizard. Come on. If you put any more in there, I think I'd have to go ahead and take a breath and then go ahead and restart. And Mark Attack with the same thing. Welcome in here. And we got Riley's Reviews watching as well. One of the Wonder Twins. Looking forward to having him and KG, having both of them on here. We all know what table the Thor is sitting at. And I always love playing this clip for everybody who's sitting at table 2 with the Thor.
This drink, I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another.
And speaking of a particular movie, I'm going to start off with this topic first as I fill up table 10.
I have a really bad feeling about this.
Well, I got a really good feeling about this show. Put it to you that way, even though Han has a bad feeling about what he's talking about. Let's get into the first topic today with everyone that is up over here. And I am going to go ahead and put it up onto the screen. Drum roll there. Boom. Well, that was more of a hum. Slave Leia. Is it the name or the outfit? Because this has been coming up again in the Star Wars community. And I know, Brent, you've been in the media, obviously, for a while because you're in that business. Coming up, I think, because, of the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. And you have to wonder, as I go ahead and start off with you first, Brent, since I mentioned your name, does this have more to do with the name, Slave Leia, or the outfit that is the problem that Disney is having with this? And when it comes to Return of the Jedi, I know for me, I don't think that they're going to take this out from the movie. And I actually think that we can do this for a hot toy figure, because I don't think, I'm trying to find out what is offensive. Let's go ahead, which obviously both can be. Let me get your perspective first. Go, baby.
I don't see anything offensive about this. And maybe that's, excuse me, maybe that's because I grew up with it and I've seen it for 40 years. And I wasn't offended by it then. I never, ever 1 second while I watched The Return of the Jedi in 1983, or when I watched it again in 1993 or 2003 or 2013 or next year in 2023, I'm not ever going to watch her in that scene and think about how women are being ostracized or women are being made out to be sex symbols or anything along those lines. I was always immersed in that character. I never thought for 1 second, why is she dressed that way? It was just Star Wars. It was just in the fabric of what that movie was. And it was how she was represented for the first third of that movie. Honestly, I mean, for the most part, I mean, she kind of entered in as Boosh, right? And then once that transitioned, then this is what we saw for basically the rest of Act 1 of Return of the Jedi. I think it's a great question, Aries, and I think it's going to spark a lot of controversy. I think if you would have asked me this question, is it the outfit or the name 3 years ago, I probably would have said the outfit. But now, given where the world is and how things are and the culture wars that are happening and everything the way that it is, oh boy, this sounds like I'm Switzerland here, but I'm 50-50 on it, man. I mean,
it could be.
I think it's both. I think we're at a place, Aries, where literally it could be 60-40 one day one way and then 60-40 the next day. And it just depends on where you want the conversation to go. And it's going to be a hot topic of conversation as we go into the 40th anniversary year next year, for sure.
Well, good thoughts there, Brent. And we got 53 in here. Go ahead and hit the like button. Before we go to you, Mario, on your take on this to open this up, OG fan, when Star Wars was just Star Wars, says Mario, Hutt Slayer Leia, it's with the name. Also, putting this in from some of the comments that are in here. Single songwriter says, Mario, the Disney mermaid wore less. LOL.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Yeah, and I think you're all seeing, everyone on the panel here, some of the things. Give me your takes, Mario. You've seen some of the comments as well, following up on what Brent says. Is this more about the outfit? Is it the name? Because I think that single songwriter does bring up a good point here. I find it interesting if it's the outfit, but go.
I honestly think it is a mixture of both. I do agree with what Brent said with his thoughts. Me personally, I think it's more of the name than the outfit, but I do agree it's a bit of a mixture of both. When this whole fiasco started way back in the day, I think Hasbro ended up changing the name. They pulled the figure right away from the shelves, the Black Series, and everything else, related to this thing. However, it's just I think a lot of the issues that we've seen before was just like the name of it. You have the name Slave Leia. That doesn't really entail anything, positive towards her, towards the character, and these days, nor towards women at all. We've seen it also. I think someone else mentioned in the chat in regards to Boba Fett's starship now, right? Was it the
Slave One?
I think it's called. Yeah, Slave One. It's no longer called that. They had to rename it. So I don't think it's a term that can be properly used, nowadays without anybody really, being somewhat offensive. But then again, I'm sure, you can say anything at all and someone somewhere might be offensive by just saying something, without any harmful intentions.
Yeah.
Whether or not we'll see this again in figure form, I certainly hope so. I remember a couple of years ago, Hasbro was actually polling their community in regards to the archive collection, in which they rebranded it Hutt Slayer Leia, and they had a fan vote to see if it would actually come back or not to the line, which was interesting because by that time I thought there was no way this figure would ever see the light of day again. But for them to rebrand it as Hutt Slayer Leia, I'm tending to lean towards more the fact that it is the name and not just the outfit.
No, really good thoughts there, Mario. And Lane Kramer just saying also to you, Mario, are we sure Mario is not possessed? Has the wizard beard? Well, if you've missed my show, the last few shows, at least the Hot Toys, cousins, brothers, sisters, brothers, girlfriends, boyfriends, girlfriend was on, and becoming the Hot Toys wizard. So I guess he's thinking that, but not with all the hair. Anyway.
You have to wonder, Lane.
You do have to wonder, Lane. Lane, thank you so much for the $2 drop. You know what you get. Thank you so much for that. And keeping on with this topic, we're going to go back and go this way now on the panel. Victoria, will go to you. And I know when you were on last time, we were talking about this, but this took a little bit more steam in the media lately. And I think it's because we are coming up on the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. It's going to be here quicker than we think. next year. And one of the interesting things about this outfit, I mean, I think that some people in the chat, where they're saying the Little Mermaid, or I forgot what of those characters in Disney wore less. So many characters go ahead and wear less as well. She was also very triumphant, as you can see in this picture right here. She was certainly a woman of power, as she really took out Jabba the Hutt on her own, and he's dead and no longer in the Star Wars universe. So, your take on this? Is it the name? Is it all better if it's just Jabba's prisoner or Jabba the Hutt Slayer Leia, or is it really the outfit that really is just needs more clothing?
Yeah, so there's that really good quote by Carrie Fisher where she was asked during an interview, like, what would you say to, a parent who may complain about, who has a daughter, maybe complains about, this outfit, and, Carrie Fisher said, well, I would just tell her that, if you become enslaved by somebody against your will and then you kill them, that's not really your fault that you were forced to wear that. So, I mean, I think it's the name. I mean, if you look at what happened with the Slave One, it's now called the Fire Spray Gunship or Boba Fett Starship, depending on what you look at, depending on what the merchandise is. I think it's really the name, but I think we did talk about Aries last time. I did ask Hasbro directly in an interview a year or two ago that, is there anything in place directly from Disney or Lucasfilm preventing them from manufacturing product of Leia in this particular outfit? And they said, no, there is no mandate in place. Because at that point, there had been many rumors, and that still persist, that it cannot happen. And I think even though there may not be a mandate, I think a lot of the time what you're seeing is companies like Hasbro or whomever being proactive in implementing like their own changes and maybe defaulting to just not making that, just to kind of stay out of like controversy. The outfit is the outfit. The situation in the movie is the situation. She was imprisoned against her will. She was kidnapped, and she was forced to wear that, obviously. The Black Series figure, when that was out, that just rotted on the pegs. It nobody touched it. And
I know. Then it went up to like buku bucks.
Yep. Then when these rumors started, yes, it shot up in value. I think, we have seen what Hasbro is doing for the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. We don't have 100% of the picture yet, but they have told us, and we've seen through leaks, what is coming in that 40th anniversary line. So they're doing Black Series figures on vintage card backs like they did for A New Hope, like they did for The Empire Strikes Back in their 40th anniversaries. And neither of those lines, they all were very faithful to the original trilogy, to the vintage days. And for Return of the Jedi specifically, next year, we have not seen that this figure is going to come back in any capacity. I know a lot of people did want to see it again with updated photoreal paint and, maybe a new sculpt. But I think for the most part, it's probably just the name that is really, in terms of what, as far as companies and licensees are concerned, maybe not Disney, maybe not Lucasfilm. I think, the companies that make the product are just taking a proactive approach and just trying to stay away from anything that might, muddle their reputations or muddle, the situations with their customers as relationships. I don't think it's off the table based on what Hasbro told me at the time. Again, this was 2 years ago. I don't know that that's still the case. But if it is, I would lean towards it being more something with the manufacturers just choosing to not get into that area and just making other toys instead of ones that focus on this particular outfit.
No, and that was some great thoughts there, and some great insights as well, Victoria, coming in there. And going to you, Joao, Victoria also brings up some good points in the fact that at least it's possible that this is not actually Disney's direction. Maybe it is some of the toy companies like Hasbro or, Gentle Giant or so on and so forth that are kind of making the call. But really, if it's not really Disney and, it's not going to be Lucasfilm, and it's okay to, they're changing the name to Jabba's Prisoner, and they have no intention of taking this out of the movie. Why couldn't we get a figure where it's not called Slave Leia, Joao, and it's just called Jabba's Prisoner or Leia from Return of the Jedi, in this scene and not even mention that. Give me your take on that, and also your take on the question. In the beginning, is it the name or the outfit? Go, Joao.
I think it's a combination of both, and I can see Disney issue here because it's like Disney have a lot of princess in their catalog, right? And basically Leia is a Disney princess at this moment because Disney owns that, and I can see Disney in some way they don't want to see like Leia being objectified, like in their own idea. For example, as toys related, you know that there is for 1/6 scale there is no any slave Leia costume out there that is licensed, but there are a lot of unlicensed ones.
Right.
And,
yes.
And I did review one. And let me tell you, many collectors want that to pose together with Jabba the Hutt. They have Jabba the Hutt and they want that outfit. They want Leia in that outfit to pose it together because it's a part of the movie that we cannot erase.
That's right.
Happened. Some people may consider that the outfit is like something like empowering or something, but in my idea, it's like the outfit was not Leia's choice. She was forced to use that outfit. Right? She was forced to use the outfit by Jabba. But I mean, I can see the 2 points. We live in a completely different world now. It's difficult. I cannot see, for example, Hot Toys doing this in the world we are now. In the world we are now, I unfortunately I don't see that. But I remember Carrie Fisher. She also spoke about this, something like "Don't be a slave like me" or something like that. She was also vocal about this particular outfit. So I don't know. I think most collectors wouldn't mind, especially the people that watch the movies back then. They will always see this as an important part of the movie. But I don't know how the new generation look at this. It's a different perspective.
No, and it's some really, really good thoughts there from you, Joao, as well. And Doc, as I hand it off to you to get your take, I knew as I was, a young person when this movie came out, it was certainly more to see somebody, in an outfit like this in a film in the early 80s. Oh my God, having an outfit like this on, no matter what gender you are now, is kind of like it's common. I mean, you could just go turn on WWE and everybody's, call it a swimsuit, call it a wrestling suit, call whatever you want. I mean, to me nowadays, this is, so I think it's probably more, and from my view anyway, the name than it is the outfit. But give me your take on that. And then if Disney has no intent of retconning this or eliminating it from the movie, which I don't think that they do, then why can't we get an action figure from it? Is someone going to step up, Doc, and say, okay, well, calling it whatever name Disney wants to call it, let's put this figure out because it's part of Star Wars and a very important movie, a movie that was okay for Star Wars fan in Return of the Jedi. Go, Doc.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope Disney wouldn't retcon this or scrub it from the movie. But that being said, I do think it has more to do with the name, especially nowadays. Like we've seen it with the as mentioned, the Boba Fett's ship, Slave One being rebranded, and so I can see it having a lot to do with the name. But I don't think it would have anything to do with the way the outfit looks or anything like that, because I mean, you watch the most recent episode of She-Hulk, and I would say that might, that whole character so far in the show would maybe objectify a little bit women a little bit more than say Princess Leia in this bikini costume. I mean, you got this character running around, questioning Captain America's virginity and everything. I don't, you never saw Leia, doing things like that. So for me, I think it's more just the name, and it'll probably go through some rebranding, but I don't think a company like Hot Toys would pick up on it. I mean, I do wish they would, but I have my little kit bash, and it works pretty great. And I who someone mentioned it here, talking about posing Leia with Jabba the Hutt like this, and that's kind of why I want to grab that sideshow Jabba the Hutt, is to have a companion piece for my slave Leia, because I do think it's a unique piece to have in the collection. It's not, incredibly toyetic. I'd rather have a I can never say it right, but the Bosch Leia from Return of the Jedi. I think that's like my favorite version of Leia outside of the
That's awesome.
Hutt Slayer Leia outfit. So whatever they want to call it, I'm all for it. It would be nice to see the product back on the shelf. Like, I do have the Black Series version, the original one that came out, and then when I was a kid, I had like the Power of the Force, 3 3/4 inch. So, naturally, as a young, hetero male, I was just very attracted to the character always. So I was like, gotta have a figure of this. And so, but yeah, I digress. I think it's questionable, what a company will do going forward for the 40th anniversary.
Yeah, I think it is very questionable as well. And these are all some very, very good thoughts. Welcome everybody in here. You are watching 6 Scale Cantina's Hot Toys live and raw. I am the Dark Jedi. And look at this great panel over here. We are discussing first, is it about Slave Leia, the name? Is it about the outfit? And going back to you here, El Professoro, Single Songwriter says the best way for Hot Toys to market Leia safely is make it a 2-pack with Jabba the Hutt. Sell it as Jabba the Hutt with Captured Leia 2-pack. And then also putting this in here, Thule says, Mario, I agree with Joao. I don't see Hot Toys doing this anytime soon. But Clone Trooper says there's a lot of other content in Disney's catalog that is more offensive than this, and Disney has not removed it. Here's my question, Mario. If Disney hasn't removed it, and Disney's not going to remove it, and Disney doesn't retcon this, and this is just part of the lore, why can't we ever get a figure of this? Go ahead. Talk to me, baby.
I don't know. It's that's a little bit of a difficult question to answer. I mean, I would say like now is as good a time as any, considering like what Doc mentioned with all the different customs that are going out there, the different kit bashes in 1/6 scale. Single Songwriter brings up a decent idea, but I don't know how many collectors would actually go with that, because that would be really expensive, man, to bundle up, Leia with Jabba, perhaps Leia with Salacious Crumb, or something like that.
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah, Jabba's like 800 with Sideshow, right? Just by himself.
Exactly. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, just by himself. So I think
expensive
something a little bit smaller. Yeah. So I think if they were to do it, there's no reason for it, because I thought about, what everyone else is saying, and Victoria brought up in, the point how she spoke with Hasbro. Another thing too is that during Star Wars Celebration, you see a lot of cosplayers dressed up in the same outfit. There's no ban on it, So even with that, I think that just goes to show you that it's not, I think it's more of the name. Will Hot Toys do this? I hope so. There's definitely a possibility, even more so considering it's the 40th. However, with the whole 40th, gimmick, I don't believe that we'll get like everything that we expected to see. I mean, considering that they didn't show that much love to Empire for the 40th. All we got was just like was a Vader and a Boba Fett.
Two reissue Boba Fett's really, yeah.
Right, exactly. Well, actually, we also got Lando. We also got the Snowspeeder Luke as well.
Yep.
So they're still building on that. I mean, it was outside of the 40th anniversary, but they still branded it as such. So it's definitely a possibility, but I hope it does. Because just seeing all the kit bashes out there, I honestly haven't really seen one that like, made me want to go out and like purchase a kit for myself and have it on display.
I saw one out there, Mario, but it was like it used the Hot Toys head sculpt. I was like, oh, it looks really good with the Hot Toys head. I guess you put on the hair, but I don't trust it. I don't know.
Yeah.
If I can interject here real quick,
sure.
Sorry to step on you, but I have a thought, and here's something too. During that scene, Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher, was not the only character in that moment in Return of the Jedi that was a female who was barely dressed. You guys might remember the dancer Ula, who was dancing out in front, the Twi'lek, who, if how many times did you rewind that when she was dancing around, and then when the updated movie came out in 1997, when they remade the Cy Snoodles band. Go back and look at Grietta. Go back and look at some of those singers that they added in there that were not in the original movie in 1983. And, you know, basically what this is, Jabba the Hutt was a mob boss. He, you know, it had that bordello flair. It had that 1920s, roaring 20s, Al Capone feel to it. And that's what that was. And people are I don't know. I mean, if you could just get lost in what the whole feel that they were trying to create there was, you might be able to set aside this whole objectionism that I feel like this entire topic is about. You know, we're objectifying women here. And it's just not what the intent was, I don't think, in 1983.
Definitely not. I agree.
And also, if I can, Aries, just real quick, Lucas wrote Leia to be a badass. He didn't want a damsel in distress type princess. He wanted somebody that could take charge and take control of any situation when necessary. And we see that in many instances in the original trilogy. So anyone that looks at her in the situation and is just going off of that name or this outfit isn't looking at the context of the whole situation of who she is as a character and is only focusing on that name and on that particular look. So it's really it's really unfortunate, that we can't get merchandise like that just because of, that little bit that some people might be focusing on rather than the whole context of who Leia is.
No, really, really good thoughts on all the ends here with that. And absolutely, I totally 100% agree. And so, Mario, I got your thoughts there. Brent, let me go back to you. And then Victoria, I'm going to go to you and Joao and Doc. So I think it's a great opportunity if Hot Toys was going to do it, to be able to do it in everything that we're talking about here for the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi, for the reason that they're celebrating the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. And if Disney doesn't make a move, if Disney's move is to remove the name Slave Leia, which they have, and it's now Jabba's prisoner, but they're not removing the scene, and this is part of the canon, and it's part of the movie that we're celebrating, you have to wonder, Brent, is it possible that the 40th anniversary is the time to put this out because it's coming out to celebrate this movie? And go ahead, answer that one quickly, my friend.
No, I think this is the time to do it for sure. I think if there's ever a time to make peace with the past, all of this uproar started, I believe, in the year 2015. If anybody here in the panel can correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember it about 6-7 years ago that this all began. Where was all the uproar and the upheaval prior to that? Maybe it was out there, but I don't recall it being as loud as it is, and as loud as it probably will be if there is some sort of a momentum surge to try to bring this back around, or if Disney announces they're going to do it. And how do you delete her from that scene? She's in it so much. For crying out loud, she kills Jabba the Hutt. You just
no, they're not going to do that. No,
they're not going to do it. You can't go back and undo.
Which is why I keep coming back to the figure someday.
Again, I mean, I just, this is what it's a roaring 20s. It was a Capone mob boss type thing. Women were objectified, I guess, back in the 20s. That was the. But it just, it's all right. If we're going to delete this, then delete The Godfather. Let's go into that movie and start cutting out scenes too.
No, you can't delete any of the mob bosses. You can't delete. You can't even delete these mob guys.
You're delicious. Ciao, boys.
Those are the best mob bosses right there.
I want to work for them. Anyway, good thoughts there, Brent. Victoria, let's go to you. Is the 40th anniversary for Hot Toys and that packaging a time to, I hate to say slip it under the rug, because it seems like we're all in agreement here that it would be okay to come out with a figure. But if they're going to come out with it, would that be the time to do it during the 40th anniversary?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a very iconic look. When you think of Princess Leia, I think most people either think of her A New Hope look with the, the cinnamon roll buns hair and the white outfit, or this. And no, it's the time to celebrate Return of the Jedi, 40th anniversary. It's a beloved film. It's my favorite Star Wars film. And if you look at the history of merchandise of her in this outfit, the very first thing I think that I can recall that was ever done was the Power of the Force figure back in '97. And that figure was listed. It was named officially Princess Leia as Jabba's prisoner. There was no slave name on there. I don't think that came until possibly the Black Series. That one actually did say slave outfit on the package. But I don't know that was ever the official name before that. But if Lucasfilm signed off on that name on the packaging, then, that's pretty official. So the rumors about 6-7 years ago, and I would need to go back and do a little research to dig up the source. I remember at the time there were rumors that I alluded to earlier, saying that Disney couldn't touch this, and that's why I asked Hasbro about it, that Disney couldn't do this. This came from somebody that was supposedly in the know, and it has since been proven that person had no relationship with Disney. No way they could have known that. And then, of course, following up with Hasbro and asking them directly, what sort of mandates are in place, and there was nothing in place. But yeah, this is the right time to do it. 40th anniversary of this, really beloved Star Wars film. It's a shame that's probably not going to happen, but if at any time, this would be the time to celebrate, this outfit, to celebrate Leia in this look, celebrate her character. And the right way to do that would be to put it out there. It doesn't matter if it's a vintage collection, a Lego, Black Series, Hot Toys. I know we'd all love to see it. And again, it's too bad we're probably not going to, but it is definitely the right time.
No, really, really good thoughts. And I think if one of those companies put it out, it may be like an avalanche or a chain reaction, like, oh, they put it out. Let's go ahead and put it out. But Joao, let's go to you under that view. I know you think they're probably not going to do this, but I think it's a couple of good points here. If they were going to, though, probably the 40th anniversary is the best time to do it because they're celebrating the movie, A, and B, to Victoria's point, there may be some company, probably unlikely, that does do it. I think personally, if one does it, others will follow. But go ahead. You think that 40th anniversary is the time?
No, the time is the best one. That's no doubt about that. But knowing the Hot Toys history, and Hot Toys is a bit, they don't want to go too much controversial with their toys. They try to steer out of it. So in this particular outfit, you got, let's be frank, you have a lot of body exposed. And Hot Toys, I mean, this is not actually Hot Toys' call. If Disney tell them we want this as a figure, Hot Toys will do it.
Yes, for sure.
For any Disney related content, Disney Hot Toys is in Disney's hands. We say is in Mickey Mouse hands. So if Disney
Grogu's hands.
Exactly. If Disney wanted this to be released, Hot Toys will do it for sure. If by Hot Toys themselves, I don't think, especially here in this market that we are now here in Asia, I don't see Hot Toys by themselves launching a figure like this again because of the world we live now and the quantity of body exposed that this figure would bring.
Well, listen, that's a great point. And you did mention Mickey Mouse, and you mentioned Grogu. So we got to fill him up, Joao. He's thirsty.
I think.
Thank you so much, Joao. Doc, you get the last word on this. A lot of good thoughts here. Is the 40th anniversary of the Return of the Jedi the time to kind of slip this under the rug and put it out there? And if one company, whether it's Lego or somebody, puts this out, does it just be like, oh, okay, let's go ahead and put her out now? What do you think?
I think now obviously would be the time, and with the 40th anniversary, I mean, that's a tentpole marketing there. It'd be a great time to bring a figure back out onto the shelves, whether it be the Black Series or the Vintage Collection, or even Hot Toys. It's a great time because the the brand has never been so in the spotlight as it is now. Like we just came out of those dark times with the sequel trilogies. I mean, Star Wars is hot right now. Maybe even being a little overproduced in some size. I still see Lando Calrissian sitting on a lot of shelves out there from the Black Series and vintage collections. So now is the time to do it. My concern though is, if a company like Hot Toys were to make it, like we just saw that Cable, come out, and if the body's not quite right, I can only imagine the type of uproar that would be caused by that. Because I would want it to be perfect. I'm wondering if maybe there would be a way that a company would even partner with TV League to work on a good silicone body for that figure, because a lot of the seamless bodies that Hot Toys does produce are relatively more on, I wouldn't say it necessarily on the cheaper side, but just not as good quality as some of the medical grade silicone you get with TB League. But yeah, I think the brand is in a really good spot right now. So the 40th anniversary would be a great time to bring this character back, especially because it hasn't been available for a long time now. And there's probably a lot of, older and younger collectors that maybe didn't have an opportunity to pick up those original releases. And I'm always for people getting those parts of their collection that they may not have. And I've been blessed to have many different versions of the Hut Slayer Leia or Slave Leia, whatever, Prisoner Leia, whatever people want to call her. It's just, she's Princess Leia and she's a badass no matter what outfit you put her in. Like,
Absolutely.
I want every outfit of her from Return of the Jedi. Like, I think that was one of her most prominent movies in terms of like change ups and everything. And her New Hope outfit is definitely the most iconic, but Return of the Jedi just had a lot of fun moments for me. And maybe it's because I was a kid when I was introduced to that movie, and that's what that movie was pushed towards. So it makes sense.
Absolutely. And no, great thoughts here on, whether it's Slave Leia, the name, or is it the outfit, but really, really good conversation. Victoria, I know I only got a few more minutes with you here, but I'm going to go ahead and kick off the next topic with you first then, as we go into it. And let me go ahead and put it up onto the screen. And I know that you've been anticipating this TV series, the ANDOR series. And I'm putting up in here ANDOR series, Imperial Villains and Sith. Now, I know there's a lot of rumors out there, and certainly from the previews, Victoria, it appears that this is going to be a different kind of show. Maybe a show where we see kind of the underbelly of the some of the nitty-gritty politics, or maybe some almost like a detective type of show in a way. But I think that if you're going to dive into that, I would think that perhaps some characters that are going to have huge input, as in with a lot of detective series or shows like that have characters such as what I'm going to put up here on the screen for us, which is the Emperor, particularly someone like Grand Admiral Thrawn, who's also going to be very pivotal in the Mandoverse. And was very pivotal during this time, which as we know, and a lot of us with Star Wars, as with Grand Moff Tarkin, who's on the other side, on the political end, running the fleet there with Darth Vader. You've got Thrawn on the other side, running the military part. And then you've got Ben Mendelsohn, who's only rumored to be in it. But Forrest Whitaker's in it. I pretty much think the rumors are strong that Director Krennic will be in this. And of course, the Emperor is the puppeteer who's holding all the strings, since we're talking about gangsters here tonight. In the Andor series, with it diving into that, can you see any of these characters on here, or multiple ones, as a cameo, or being spoke of, or even in the series in some capacity? Go ahead.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it would be good business for any of these manufacturers, if Andor had these characters in there in some capacity. I mean, we haven't yet seen Thrawn in live action, but we do know that he will be part of the Ahsoka series. So, I mean, it would be a great way to introduce the character to people who may not know who Thrawn is. Tarkin, obviously, they pulled him off in 2016 with Rogue One. So, I mean, seeing him in this show, which, obviously connects very much to Rogue One, would make sense. Same with Krennic. I'd love to see Krennic come back. We saw a good little bit of him in Rogue One, but not nearly enough. I don't think you can ever have too much of Ben Mendelsohn, and just having more Krennic in the series would be pretty awesome. And obviously the Emperor as well. You can never have enough Emperor, honestly. And I love that we saw him at the end of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I hope we get more of him. So yeah, I think all of these make sense. Whether or not they'll interweave them into the stories, is to be seen. But I do think that they're obviously heavy, big players in this timeline, and if you're gonna make a movie that's about the rebellion versus the empire, then you really need to show who the big players are on both sides at this point in the timeline. And to do that, you would need at least some of these characters in the Andor series. And I know a lot of people would like to get hot toys of these characters, especially those that missed out on Tarkin or on Krennic, which are some of the most fabulous looking pieces that exist. Just absolutely gorgeous. So I do hope that we see some or all of these characters in Andor. I think there's a good chance.
No, it's really, really good thoughts. And I think that there's also a great opportunity when you're talking about that political intrigue and, those, the empire, the hierarchy being involved. I think it'd be a great opportunity for Disney and that whole group over there under Jon Favreau to just to introduce Grand Admiral Thrawn, which was very interesting in this time, the tug of war, at least in the canon, between Darth Vader and Grand Admiral Thrawn, and also Grand Moff Tarkin. Everybody trying to be the top dog. Obviously, the force powers of Darth Vader being that special something, that special connection that kind of makes him the number two. Or is he really, when it comes to Thrawn or Grand Moff Tarkin? It really is a question, you see, even when you watch A New Hope. So I think it's very, very intriguing. And I think this would be a very, very intriguing subplot that would kind of blow me away. If they're going to have this as a subplot, I'd be like all into it to feel about like to see that little tension between Vader and Thrawn vying for the Emperor's top dog position and that type of thing. But Victoria, thank you so much. We have to promote something. I believe that I'm going one-on-one with you this Friday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern on Victoria's Cantina.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot, Aries. It's been a blast. I wish I could stay longer. I always really enjoyed talking to everybody on your show, and to everybody in the comments that's been hanging out. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing you on Cantina Social Hour on Friday. We'll be on at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. And as always, we'll be spilling the coffee and the spotchka and whatever else we may have at our disposal. So, really looking forward to it.
We'll join Cantina forces and we'll spill tons of coffee. Everybody in here in the chat, don't forget, 10:30 p.m. on Friday, I'll be on Victoria's channel. We'll be brewing tons of coffee. Be there or be square. Victoria, great way to set the table with this new topic of discussion. You have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you, Aries. Thank you, everybody. I will see you soon.
Good to see you.
Bye.
Bye.
And I'm going to shift up the panel over here. We'll just go back and forth and back and forth. Star Wars newsman Brent, let's go to you. With this Andor series and putting this back up, this banner on the screen, Andor series, Imperial villains and Sith. From the conversation that I and Victoria opened up, do you see any benefit of Disney putting this in, or really any? You're not seeing any hint of it at all at any of the previews whatsoever. Or
they're not. No. I mean, I don't think they're going to give away in the teasers that Darth Vader, Tarkin, Krennic, Thrawn, or the Emperor are going to be in this. I think they're going to give you the periphery. They're going to give you, Imperial Star Destroyers flying over this random land and everybody looking up wondering what is that, and just some arguing and bickering, some out of context stuff they're chucking in there. Look, here's the deal, okay? You can't have a rebellion start if it's not for these five guys right there in that picture. They are the reason why Andor is building this rebellion, why there is a rebellion, why he defected, why he's trying to put this army together. So you have to have this element in there. You can't just have a bunch of stormtroopers running around getting shot, okay, for 12 episodes. You've got to have a story arc that's developing with these characters right here. And I absolutely think that Grand Admiral Thrawn is going to be in this show. There's no reason why he should have to be held off till the Ahsoka series a year from now, or a little less.
Well, it could save on some of the flashbacks, which they did a good job, I thought anyway, with the Obi-Wan and Reva flashbacks. Pretty good. I mean, the Boba Fett ones were, it depends, but you kind of save it, getting some insight right before you see him later. It almost seems like an opportunity to me.
What happened between Thrawn and Vader, where Vader won out, where he became the top dog in the land? And maybe we'll get to see that in this series, because at some point that's how it unfolded, right? I mean, it had to have. And it'll be interesting to see and how Tarkin plays that. And I'll be curious to see how his deep fake looks this time around too. I know a lot of people were a little irritated by how it looked in 2016. And again, you go back to 2016, they never teased Tarkin was going to be in Rogue One when you saw all of those trailers either. You just watched the movie and you were like, oh my God, right? I mean, you were like, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
I bet you every single one of these characters is going to be in that show.
Wow,
and they're going to have a very, very big role, because there has to be resistance. There has to be something to fight against. And I think you're going to see it. I really do.
Very, very good thoughts. Mario, let's go to you. What do you think about this? Is this an opportunity? I kind of agree with Brent and Victoria, but I think if they do, I don't see lightsabers in this. I don't really,
Right.
I see it more intellectual, almost like, remember in A New Hope, where it's like the Imperial Senate has been dissolved permanently. The regional governors will control the masses, and the Emperor will keep control that way. I think it's going to be more. It'll be more political, more of that banter.
Yeah, we actually see that more and more with the trailers, where it is more political. We see, Mon Mothma mingling, with all the politicians there amongst the Empire as well. I don't think. Well, do you guys think that we need to see Vader, considering that we just saw him, on Obi-Wan? I think we need to give him time to simmer. I do believe in too much of a good thing, and I really hate to see my man, his legacy kind of get tarnished a little bit, or possibly, I don't know, because I'm hearing some things about this particular show. It's going to be divisive, but I'm hearing it's pretty good though at the same time. So we'll actually see what happens. But in the same vein as Rogue One, yeah, man, I really hope that we see more Imperial officers in this thing. I definitely think that we're going to see Tarkin along with Thrawn. That's an excellent way to introduce him to the audience right now before Ahsoka. You guys made an excellent point regarding that. I agree with that 100%. But I also want to see some more Imperial officers, some newer ones.
Yes.
Some newly developed characters, man. I would love, because I want some more on the shelf, to be honest, man. It's dope to have like a whole like Stormtrooper shelf, but to mix it up with the officers, man, I would just love to have that in the display. So I'm really looking forward to that and what they're going to be doing with it. But yeah, we got another clip this morning. I think it's like a 2-minute teaser clip from one of the episodes that it looked good, man. Just a little back and forth banter between Andor, and his guy. It was intriguing, and I'm really looking forward to it. And at the same time, just like I'm looking forward to going to go see Rogue One this Saturday, and hopefully we'll get a teaser with Andor on top of that too, man. So yeah, that's gonna be fun. So
yeah, there's supposed to be an exclusive Andor teaser at Rogue One movies this week. I'm going with a bunch of my buddies to see it in IMAX Friday night, so I'm excited to see it again.
Yeah, I'll be there Saturday afternoon, man. So looking forward to it.
Well, let me go ahead and kind of help you get some goosebumps. I'm going to fill you up, Mario, right now. Here you go.
Be careful not to choke on your aspirations, Director.
Vader's such a comedian. I love it. Love the pun.
Oh man, I love the pun too. Very, very interesting thoughts there, Mario, for sure. Um, yeah. So, Doc, let's go to you with that, with some of those. I mean, do we need more Vader? As Mario said, do we really? And I think I don't know the question. I think he's probably the least one out of this group we need to see. But again, I'd like to see that tension between vying for the top spot for the Emperor. And maybe if they put him in subtly and they have like a spin-off to kind of get that, I'd love to learn more about Thrawn and what he's doing with the fleet on that end. Kind of get what Moff Tarkin's doing with the Death Star, being more the political military leader. We make no mistake about it. Thrawn is the military force leader for the Emperor, and I'm hoping we can in some way start diving into it. But go ahead, give me your thoughts.
Just a question here before Doc. Thrawn, you only see him until now on Rebels, right? Because I haven't watched Rebels till the end, so I'm not very familiar with the character. That's
Right.
There's only on Rebels, right?
Rebels,
So
and then
far,
in
yeah.
like Heir of the Empire, and some canon, and in some comics, and some stories.
So there's not much of this character until now for the public.
Well, on screen
for
right,
the new
previously he was around in some of the previous what's known as legends these days. There was a book about him, I believe, but as far as like seeing him on screen, the only representation we got was just whatever was in Rebels.
Okay, go on, Doc.
Yeah, thank you, Joao.
Pass him some coffee, Joao. There you go. Here, I'll pass it over to Mario. There you go. I gotta prick it up. Here you go, Mario.
Have some water.
Here, preach. Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, appreciate that.
See, we got all the drinks here in the cantina, baby. Come on.
But to answer the question, I think having Darth Vader in this show would be too much. Now that being said, I wouldn't mind like maybe just like a scene or two throughout the 12 episode run where there's political conversation between Grand Moff, I almost said Gideon, but Grand Moff Tarkin and Thrawn and Director Krennic. I would like to see more, a round table discussion between them, because you can see in A New Hope, like Moff Tarkin, he kind of talks down to Darth Vader a lot and belittles him a little bit in front of the other Imperial officers, and then Thrawn, from my limited exposure to him just in Rebels alone, I'm vying to see more of him on screen, and I hope they cast the right person for it, because his character portrayal in Rebels was very interesting to me. A guy who was really into culture and the art of the people he was studying to figure out how to destroy them, and it's very Sun Tzu Art of War with him. So I want to see more of his character. I want to go back and even read those Timothy Zahn books and kind of just experience what I missed out on, because those books came out like right in my young adult age, right? I should have been reading those books. And then Director Krennic, can't go wrong with him. I love the actor who plays him. I think he's a really great actor. So to see them all on screen just at least once, to maybe have some sort of argument or something that could lead into more spinoffs or more introductions through other shows, would be really good. And then, having Peter Welling? No, it's not Peter Welling. I'm awful. But Grand Moff Tarkin's character, I was just seeing his character back on
Peter
screen.
Cushing. Yep.
Peter Cushing. There you go. Weller is the RoboCop. And just to see his character.
Except the one that came out. The one that came out was some other guy, which I didn't even realize that. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it was just such a shame that Tarkin was blown up with the Death Star. Like I feel like he was such a really interesting character, and as you're really kind of getting to know him and his aspirations, he gets blown into oblivion.
Well, and he was the guy in charge. I mean, even though Vader was there, Vader was more like he was there, but it was almost like Vader was I'm an emissary, or for the Emperor. But as I fill up table 66 where Tarkin's sitting, you'll see here he's the one who's orchestrating everything.
I grow tired of asking this, so it'll be the last time.
Yeah, he was very aggressive in that movie. Like
He
when
was.
when I
Vader
actually
just sitting there.
rewatched it as an adult, I was like, this guy is really the bad guy. Darth Vader's just kind of like a puppy dog on a leash, really.
You know, Doc bring up an excellent point, or rather, by that mistake. What if we do see a younger Gideon? Not exactly Moff, but I mean somewhere like his come up so in the Empire.
We
That'd be
could.
interesting, man.
We
I would
very.
I'd be interested in seeing that.
Yeah,
That's a great point.
It's a great
I would hope
point.
so. I would hope we would start to see at some point, maybe see his involvement with the Night of a Thousand Tears. I think that was brought up in season 2 of Mando. So it would be cool because, you know, he has that armor that doesn't strike you as like an Imperial officer armor. It looks more like Inquisitor armor. You know, is it possible, you know, maybe he came up from the Inquisitor program, or, you know, is it just have some special ISB armor? Yeah.
Inquisitors.
Just making up terminology here, Joao.
That's amazing.
And Doc, you know, you have to wonder, is this what they call you?
They call him the Wizard.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I mean, Moff Gideon is definitely. You could probably see a young Moff Gideon here would be absolutely epic. But Joao, we got to get your thoughts. What do you think here? Is this any one of these characters? Do you think that they could pop up in the Andor series? What are your thoughts?
I believe so. I don't believe much for Vader and Emperor, more for the Imperial officers. And I mean, I think it's important that for this Andor series, because as Mario was saying, it looks a bit more political on a political side, but that's also a side that, for me at least, I would like to learn more about Star Wars. You know, because many people didn't read those legend books and so on, and they want to know more backstory, other stories, not only the lightsabers going around. And I don't know if what Disney is going to bring with this. I think we can concur that we were a bit disappointed here and there with the latest Disney shows, particularly with Boba Fett. But for this Andor series, I'm actually excited to know more about the rebellion side, about if they can give us more about Imperial officers. It's good for also for new generations, and I think Disney is trying to introduce Star Wars to a new generation of viewers, to a new audience. So I think we can only benefit if we can know more and see more of Imperial officers and not only Jedi fighting, because that's all we have been seeing mostly until now, right? So I think there's much more story, much more juice that we can have from Star Wars.
No, absolutely. I think so as well. And then going right into this, if we get any one of these guys, going back to you, Doc, going to kind of mix up who I'm going to here first. I'm going to go right into this topic. Rogue One reissues, 2.0s, and new figures, all in conjunction with this series. I feel like this is a great perfect storm for Hot Toys as we start going into now what we're talking about here and what this could mean from a Hot Toys perspective. Because they have been putting out, interestingly, a couple of Rogue One releases. So they obviously have some confidence in the film Rogue One. The other thing that Hot Toys has been doing, Doc, is they have been putting out, like they did with the Attack of the Clones anniversary figures, like with those clone troopers, as also seen in Revenge of the Sith, said one of them, and as also seen in the Clone Wars animated series. Actually, they just put out the Cad Bane not too long ago, and they said as also seen in the Clone Wars animated series with that little Todo droid. So you have to wonder, is there a perfect opportunity here for Hot Toys to be like, yeah, and is also seen in Rogue One, or as also seen in the Andor series? It's going to be real interesting to see what they do with Cassian Andor, for instance, because he's obviously the star of the show, but he was one of the pretty darn big characters from Rogue One that we don't got a figure for yet.
Right.
So I wonder if this is an opportunity with Rogue One and the show for them to start for doing both announcements for this series. Go ahead, go, baby.
Sure. So I haven't really thought about this show a lot because I like to going into these new shows blind. But the more and more I start thinking about what we can get from this show, it kind of like scares me. So I thought Kenobi would offer us a lot of stormtroopers because we saw some stormtrooper variations. I think we could actually see the stormtroopers come from the Andor banner. But what I'm about to say is going to make me regret not picking up the Jyn Erso in disguise even more. Because what I think is going to happen is, if I'm correct, Andor, he was in an Imperial officer, or not Imperial, but he was with the Imperial Army. He was a pilot, right? So he's most likely going to be coming in an Imperial pilot outfit. And it would be awesome to have Jyn Erso. What? Something in my throat right now. Hold on one second.
Drink it up, baby.
Yeah.
We're brewing tons here.
But I couldn't shake it. Yeah. But it would be really cool to see him in his Imperial pilot outfit. And then to have him and Jyn Erso together like that would be really cool. So I'm hoping with the re-release in the IMAX theaters that they would, maybe Hot Toys would capitalize on that. But I don't think that they would in terms of like things like Jyn Erso. But I do think we'll see an Andor figure, and he'll most likely be in an Imperial outfit versus a regular Rebel outfit or civilian clothing. Because I think that would make for a more fun figure. But that being said, I think this show is going to give us more stormtroopers, because I think a lot of us have been asking for original trilogy stormtroopers again, and we haven't really had any in a while that come with the little side pouches and everything. So hopefully maybe we'll get those again. Because I think the Rogue One troopers didn't have the holsters.
The holster. It was missing, yeah.
Well, look at this, Doc, here. You brought up the Imperial disguise, Jyn Erso, and also some of the Imperial outfits there for Cassian Andor. And you could see, like, I'm going to pull up some Rogue One stuff as we're talking about this in relation to Rogue One, more figures coming out from there, possibly reissues, possibly these characters show up in the Andor series, kind of answers the bell. But you could look right here, $520 best offer. So, Hawk Wars usually does about $10, $15, but awesome seller, 100% all positive feedback, $24, 11 in shipping, not including taxes. And then Brent, I'm going to go to you here as we go on. I'll pull up, for instance, some of these other figures. Like look at these Rogue One Vaders right now. I'll pull these up. I got tons of different from this seller here. Collectible arena, excuse me. Over 1,700 feedback. Another outstanding seller. All positive. 450, 10 bids, not including 20 in shipping. And it's used. And with taxes, it's over $500 for this particular figure. I'll put up another one over here. You talk about Vader, and also very, very recently, $455 from August 10th, 21 bids. Another good seller, 112, all 100% positive, not including the $18.43 in shipping, not including taxes again. And you could get a pretty darn good looking Vader, I believe, right now, up on pre-order. That broke the internet and is still number one when you sort all the stuff out on Sideshow. And that Empire Strikes Back Darth Vader in the 40th packaging is also doing really, really well. And that ain't too shabby either. So you have to wonder, Brent, is it possible that Hot Toys might, hey, you know what? They didn't even need the Andor series to kind of boost up the hype of Rogue One. There could be some things that they're doing here.
Just the teasers, just the anticipation of this Andor series is boosting, I believe, all of the Rogue One figures. The Vader for sure, and of course the Vader that we just saw in Obi-Wan, of course, I think is helping this Vader and all the Vaders out there in the secondary market. That Jyn Erso in disguise, Doc, by the way, that sat in stock for a while. Are you bitter?
Yeah, no, she's one of my biggest regrets from my early days of collecting. I don't know what I was thinking when I canceled that pre-order. It was a mistake. Big
Brutal.
mistake.
I think all of the Rogue One figures, Aries, are going to start seeing an uptick. And when you start collecting all your data on a daily basis to put together your shows and get your website together and up to date, you're going to see all of them. You're going to see K2SO going back up. You're going to see Tarkin going back up. And especially if you see Tarkin and Krennic in this show, imagine what those two figures are going to do on the secondary market. Even just with a couple of cameos. I think you're going to be getting a lot more than that. But those two figures alone, especially Krennic, didn't that go on wait list before it even got in stock? Isn't that one of them that
No,
I don't think so.
It's
Mudstripper did, but not Krennic.
Yeah.
Oh, Krennic did? Okay. But anyways, I mean, I think you're going to see a surge and we're seeing it now in all of these Rogue One figures on the secondary market. And now that the movie's coming back into the theaters, and you're going to see this new content that's going to be connected to Andor as part of a teaser, you can only see it at the movie theater. And then with the show coming up in less than a month, dude, we're right on the verge here of a lot of good stuff coming in connection to this particular part of the story. And this is a great part of the Star Wars story right here.
No, good stuff there. Joao, let's go to you before we get to El Professoro. Is it a perfect storm for Hot Toys to start putting out some more Rogue One figures? I know we're talking about these in particular. I put up some data on Rogue on Jyn Erso. I also put some stuff up on the Rogue One Vader. I know that there's some possibilities we could see Vader or hear about Vader in this upcoming series. We got figures like Baze Malbus that have been in the crypt for a while. Yeah,
in the crypt.
In the crypt.
Sealed in the crypt.
Sealed in the crypt. And my thought. I think everybody here who watches me knows my thoughts on why they're in the crypt. But anyway, is this an opportunity now to start putting out a storm of Rogue One figures?
Oh, definitely. And I was just now as I was listening to you, and I was checking here that Jyn Erso in disguise, the price that's going here is going for $620. It's crazy expensive here. Actually, it's interesting because over here Rogue One figures sold very well and maintained the price. And so it's I think it's the perfect time. But yeah, $600 for a Jyn Erso in disguise. I didn't know that was this price over here. I thought it was around the 450, 500, something like that. Oh, you got it.
Oh, we're gonna start flexing now. Hang on,
we're gonna flex there, El Professoro, and yeah, there she is.
Oh, my heart. Oh.
$600.
Yes,
oh
Doc.
My God. And look, there's the
plus shipping.
God. Yeah, this figure is she's hot, man. This figure is
and you know what I like about you, Aries, is that you don't remove that plastic that plastic.
No, it kind of makes them look very clergy-ish or whatever.
No, but it's the right way to go. I did the same with Count Dooku because
yes, I did the same there too. Yes,
I didn't remove
that one.
What do you guys think about Hot Toys? Should they make a Galen Erso?
Yes.
I think they absolutely should. He is a critical character in the Star Wars story. He put the flaw in the Death Star. That guy, I want a 1/6 scale figure of Galen Erso. I want it today.
Wow.
You know what?
Damn,
go ahead, Mario. Perhaps that's another character that we'll see in Andor. Again, they just keep piling up. Galen Erso's another possibility.
You're right. He could be in there.
It all fits in that timeline.
Well, and Mario, it leads to this. Which is kind of important. All right, El, Professoro. So your turn. What do you think about all of this? Go, baby.
Oh, dude, it's inevitable. It's gonna happen. I think considering with the recent trends that we've seen with Hot Toys coming out with more 2.0s, 3.0s, or what have you, it's only a matter of time before we're gonna start seeing 2.0s of all, even A New Hope right here. It's still the 45th anniversary actually for the New Hope line, so we can start seeing some more of those actually come through. Rogue One, I think it gives them an opportunity to complete the line a little bit more. I want a base Malbus, man. Short back here is, he's lonely by himself, man, and I need that figure. They showed it to us a long time ago on one of the Hong Kong stages where they had it out on display, and we've got some of those other figures that they initially showed. I think the Tank Trooper was one of them, or the Tank Commander. If we can get another Tank Trooper itself, the what's the ART, the AT-AT looking one? If we can get one of those, that's just another kit bash of a short trooper and the tank driver also. That's another one that we can get. So yeah, man. For more, you guys know I'm a trooper collector, man. So whenever I get an opportunity, to predict another one coming down the pipeline, I'm all for it. So I definitely hope we'll see some of those. But yeah, I think again with trying to fill in some of the gaps in the Rogue One line, along with a couple 2.0s, it's inevitable. I believe it's definitely going to happen.
Well, Mario, let's stick with you a minute. You're talking about filling in the gap. There's an actor on here called Forrest Whitaker that's up on the screen. He is part of this cast. So let me ask you a question, Mario. Do we get Saw Gerrera from the series, or are they going to be like, hey, it's an opportunity to put out Saw Gerrera from Rogue One. He's going to be in the series. Which way do they go, or do they go at all?
I think considering that Andor is going to be the new hotness, I think they would put him in there. I would love to see him in Rogue One. I love this getup, that he had. There was so much detail-wise that was going on in there. But I think, for Andor, we're just going to have whatever we see, in Andor from Forrest Whitaker. So hopefully they'll bring him out because there's a lot more characters I'm sure, we can get from that series.
Well, and it's real promising. Good thoughts there, El Professoro, Joao, that Forrest Whitaker is in this Andor series. So you have to wonder, is it possible we get him from the Andor series, more relevant in there? I agree, as El Professoro said. But you have to wonder, do we get them both? Do they go the way where they're like include something? We're like also from the Rogue One show or something like that movie. What do you think about Forrest Whitaker here?
I think it makes more sense at this moment to go with the Andor series. I don't know how deep Disney will want Hot Toys to go with this series. If we follow the last tracks besides Mandalorian, Boba Fett didn't have many figures. Obi-Wan, until now, we got, I would say, 4. Obi-Wan, Darth Vader, the Grand Inquisitor. We got 3, right?
The Purge Trooper.
Oh, yep. Purge Trooper. Okay, we got 4.
And you're gonna get a Reva.
Well, of course, we're gonna get a Reva was already teased. So let's say we're gonna get 5. So I don't know how deep into this Andor series. I think if they will wait for the public reception for the series, how it will be received by the whole community, and I think that was what influenced them a bit with the Book of Boba Fett, that you didn't see. You saw Cad Bane, Boba Fett, and Fennec, right? Those are in the K2SO. I think those were the figures you see from there. So I think it all depends on. At this moment, basically Disney already told Hot Toys we would like to see these, and these. Right? Normally they are already studying and preparing for the figures they are going to make. But I believe that the Forrest Whitaker should be from the Andor series, not back from the Rogue One.
Well, let me stick with you here real quick, and then we're going to tie this in, get into everyone else here on the panel on Forrest Whitaker, because you mentioned K2SO. And you can see Alan Tudyk is in here. And of course, all the talk was that he was not in here. But apparently, I guess K2SO now is in here, which is interesting. But what do you think about that? We already got a KX Enforcer droid, but some people, you know how it goes in variations. The KX Enforcer droid, it isn't K2SO.
Oh,
So you could think as a collector, oh look, I got K2SO up there.
For some collectors is enough. For Mario is not enough. For Mario and Doc, they
For
will
me,
want
it's
they
not
will
enough.
want they will want all the
It's fine.
variations, right?
Yep, you know.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what interesting about Star Wars collectors is that it doesn't matter how simple the variation is, you will want them all. Even with troopers, right? And sometimes are these small variations that become those grails. Is the ones that people think they don't need it because they already have that character. But then only a red Peldron on a trooper can make it a grail. That's what happened here with that Mandalorian, the commander trooper. You cannot find it anywhere now here, and so that's what's very interesting about the Star Wars collecting figures. But I believe they would do another one. Hey, hello Dante, how are you? Just say hello to Dante.
Dante is in here, the man of hot collectibles. Absolutely, throwing that up here. But
but that's about it. That's my thoughts.
No, and it's really, really good thoughts, and good to have you in here, Dante. I don't know what table you're at, but we're talking about some figures like Baze Malbus that may be coming out of the crypt, baby. Good to have the maestro in here.
I'm having nightmares tonight, man. Thanks for that.
And I got to get to some of these comments in here. Keep putting them on in there, everybody, as I've been ignoring, as there was like 62. We're just in this deep, deep conversation. Doc. Forrest Whitaker. He's in the Andor series. So are we going to get Saga era? But I really want the Saga era. I want the Rogue One. As Mario was saying, that outfit was sick. What was going on there?
Amazing.
So I don't know. I mean, they could also do the animated. They could do some different stuff, I guess, with that. But and also you got K2SO in here. I don't know. That could be another version, a reissue, a something. You got KX Enforcer droid, so you almost say to yourself, "Nah, they wouldn't do that." But I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
So I might embarrass myself real quick, but I've always wanted to do this. But save the cheerleaders, save the rebellion. But I love Saw Gerrera from Rogue One, and I would love to have that version of Saw Gerrera. But I mean, I think I would take an Andor version as well. But I think the cool part of Saw Gerrera's character was how battle worn he was by the time we got to Rogue One. So I think that would make a really cool figure. So it could be one of those situations maybe where it's like, here's some accessories that you can put on him to get that Rogue One look. Like you said, where they tag it, as seen in Rogue One, here's his little respirator and maybe like a swap out leg or something. But that's the look I want for Saw Gerrera is Rogue One. But I would happily take a Andor version of him because I think he's a cool character. He very much was a part of the rebellion, but at the same time wanted to fight for his own cause, and so he just seemed like kind of like a rebel without a cause at one point, because he separated from the group, but he was willing to go to extremes that maybe the Rebel Alliance wasn't willing to go at that point. And I think the what was it? Is in Rebels where he is helping, capture those kyber crystals and destroy all those kyber crystals so the Empire can't get them. I think that was just a really cool moment. So there's a lot of backstory this character has that I really appreciate. I really do like Saw Gerrera's character a lot. So without repeating myself too much, I would hope that Hot Toys would jump on the opportunity to finally give us the Saw Gerrera character I think we all deserve.
No, absolutely. And A lot of good stuff in here. And Man of Hot Collectible says to you, Joao, is Joao sleeping?
No, I'm very awake.
Listen, Dante, we're serving Joao all the best 6-scale Cantina coffee and off-world. Jawa, egg juice. Come on, baby. Brent.
I have a question.
Go,
Where does the movie Solo fall in the timeline in conjunction to the Andor series?
It's like right there, baby.
Okay, so could we see Enfy's nest in Andor?
Maybe.
Good question.
It's a good question. I mean,
that's another figure that I thought deserved a character, or a character that I thought deserved a figure but was never made.
I only bring that up because at the end of Solo, she was like the beginning of the rebellion, wasn't she? I mean, she was the big,
I think she was part of the early workings. I think Andor is going to be like more ground zero, of the rebellion, of them actually starting up, considering Mon Mothma was also part of that, during the time of the Republic Senate.
Right.
So I think actually Solo was probably like, it might be afterwards, maybe around the same time as Kenobi, I think, or a little bit after Kenobi.
Yeah, it's real interesting stuff.
Sure. Sorry to interrupt, Aries.
No, it was you. And I don't think, Brent, did we get to you on Forrest Whitaker yet? I don't know. Or this K2SO, but what are your thoughts here from a Hot Toys perspective? I think we're finally going to get Saw Gerrera because he's one of the cast members in here.
Well, the little clip that we saw in this most recent trailer, I guess, is the final official trailer. It is when we finally first saw him, right? So he didn't look like he was having the breathing issues. Maybe we're going to learn in this series what happened to him to cause that. His problems and what led to him being basically hooked up to whatever he needed to do to breathe. I think that, that's interesting. I think we're going to get a Saw Gerrera character from Andor. But I'm with you, Aries. I'd love to have one from Rogue One as well. Do you create one where you have interchangeable accessories so you could have one or the other? I mean,
or give us a 2-pack.
Right. I mean, why not a 2-pack?
Yeah.
We've seen enough 2-packs from Hot Toys recently, so it would be great. But I think that's absolutely a character that you could check the box right now. We are going to get a Hot Toys figure of Saw Gerrera from this show for sure. Just like as much as we're going to finally get a Cassian Andor. We're finally going to get a Cassian Andor. And I will be putting him on my Rogue One shelf, by the way.
Well, listen, we're going to get into some juicy topics now here. You guys are watching the Hot Toys Live and Raw with the Dark Jedi here, along with Mario, El Professoro is in the Cantina. The Star Wars Newsman, Brent, is in the house. Doc Smizzle is in here. And we've got the Big Breda, Joao, in here as well. And we're having a grand old time. Wow, the topics tonight, everybody. And you have to wonder, is it possible as we march towards the cable controversy and some other stuff, let's kind of warm up the table with Sideshow Clone Wars figures, starting with El Professoro. Gonna go to him first on here with this. So look, I don't have these figures in hand, but I know I know the price point on them. I'm going to be putting them up here on the screen for us here. Here we go. So here it is from Sideshow, and it looked really good here. Mario, maybe you could tell me your thoughts. A lot of people are complaining. I had a couple of people, one in particular. She said that she received this figure and she was expecting it to be like the older Sideshow figures, and she's very, very happy, and it's what she was expecting. But then I get a vast majority that are telling me that they're just not happy with it. I know I was able to pull up this particular picture here from this first look. And I don't know. I mean, that's it there. What is your thoughts on this? What is your thoughts on the Obi-Wan? Did Sideshow hit this? Did Sideshow miss the mark? How bad did they miss the mark, brother?
No, I don't have these figures in hand either. I know Maz picked them up, and he's telling me they're kind of like they're okay-ish, you know. I really appreciate what they were going for here because I did really like this interpretation of the Clone Wars, but that's another rabbit hole, you know, to go down as well. We've got the realistic figures here, you know, along with the animated style, which is really cool. I think proportionately they pretty much hit the mark. I think it was actually faithful to the animated series itself. But where it falls short, man, is just the paint apps look like to fall short. Some of the use of the materials, I believe, compared to the prototype picks that were initially solicited. In my opinion, I mean, looking at this photo here, it doesn't really do that. The paint apps in the portrait, you know, it's not really flattering at all. It looks like if this is like something you pick up at Target from Mattel, you know, just straight up out of the box. The paint apps are just so lackluster in that head sculpt. You know, in my opinion, there's no texture. There's really no details. The hair just appears to be like just with the flat brown. Again, no details in the hair. I saw a review on this morning, and something that was kind of unsightly in my opinion, crackhead cable. There was a large gap in between Anakin's under tunic and the neck and the chest, and it had this big exposed neck joint that was there. That was very unsightly. You really couldn't. It was an eyesore, and it looked like it was really difficult to cover up. And I just really wasn't a fan of that. But the proportions, I like it. You know, it's like I said, they did nail. In my opinion, they did nail the what they were going for in the animated series. Wow, 2 broken ones already. Wow, that's crazy.
From Sean Bean, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
I mean, even with the Obi-Wan, is still lackluster. Again with the paint apps, every time that I look at it, it's just disappointing to see what was supposed to be, because the prototypes looked amazing in the photos that they initially took. But then again, that's all, you know, lights and camera tricks most likely. It's just such a letdown to see these things in hand.
Mm-hmm. Doc, let's go to you on this. What have you heard on this? What is your opinion on this? I was made aware of it earlier this week, and I was surprised hearing everybody because I thought that these looked fantastic in the prototype photos. I think it was a great job by Sideshow to try and compete with Hot Toys in a way where they can compete with Hot Toys, which is doing the animated head sculpts, because Hot Toys is committed to doing the real live action human and alien type of head sculpts for that. So you have to wonder, did they miss an opportunity here with this, and can they correct it? Do they even need to correct it, in your opinion?
Yeah, this is a great question, because I know there was a lot of excitement around these figures when these were first put up for pre-order, and so this is so for a lot of people it's quite on the same level of disappointment as it was when I saw the Hot Toys cable, and we'll get to that in a moment. But sticking with these, I think, you know, and I'll put a disclaimer out there. I do have a wonderful relationship with Sideshow. So that being said, their figures that I have from them, you know, I don't have very many Sideshow figures, but the ones that I do have, I like and I enjoy. Like the dude that they just came out with recently, I think is one of their best figures they come out with in the last decade. And that's saying a lot. But for these Star Wars animated clone figures, I think there's a couple of marks that they missed here. And number one being the price point. At $255 or more, I certainly expect the best paint application, the best tailoring possible. When I see these
for that price,
right?
Yes.
And when I see these and their final production photos, in hand photos, they remind me of 3-0 products where they're good enough for what you pay for, and their figures are usually sub $200. You know, I think their Power Rangers are like $100 a piece, maybe a little bit more nowadays. But you're getting what you pay for, and you're happy with what you purchased. These being at $255, I think there's a little bit of buyer's remorse mixed with some, regret and how much or how expensive these are in comparison to other things that you can get that I would say are the same quality but for cheaper price. Because 3.0 makes some pretty good stuff, but they're not, Hot Toys quality in my opinion. But they're priced fairly. Like you can get Rick Grimes for like $190, and that looks like a really good figure in comparison to this. There's some, maybe I wouldn't say shortcuts that are taken, but I've seen photos of things not completely connecting all the way. Like I think the belt strap on one photo I saw had like the gap in it where you could see the Velcro and the zipper and everything. I've seen the photos that S Beam is talking about where both Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker both arrived broken. So I mean, that's,
wow.
I wouldn't say that's typical, but that can happen. It's just, it's not a good look for Sideshow that does typically, I would say, get a little bit more scrutinized in the 6-scale market. A lot of people don't have a lot of confidence in their figures, which it's fair. It's fair, the criticism that they get, but I do think that they do deserve praise when they do hit the mark, especially with the El Deuterino that they just released. Like, that's a fantastic piece. So this is disappointing that this didn't come out the way everyone wanted it to.
Yeah, and good thoughts there. And Joao, before I go to you, just reading this from the man of hot collectibles, for the price is a Sideshow is charging, plus the fact that this is animated version. This should be at least 96% from prototype. Not good in his opinion, and definitely a lot of mixed opinions on here, and certainly some disappointments voiced. Joao, what is your thoughts on this? Have you seen this figure? Have you looked at any of the did you look at this video here, the first unboxing? What is your thoughts?
Yeah, I did look at this first look at this unboxing from Sideshow, but I don't know if it's the lighting. I don't know if it was a prototype they received, but if you watch Justin's review, doesn't look as bad as this one. But that doesn't justify the 250, right? It's 250 the price?
Yes, like 255, I think, or two. Yeah, I'll pull it up.
255. I would say this would be pretty good if it was maybe $190, $200. I think it would be okay. Because when I saw Justin's review, actually, okay, Justin said he likes it, but Justin, you know that he normally likes all the figures that he received.
Art is subjective, though, right?
He's very positive about
the
figures. Because he's positive. He likes
absolutely, but art is subjective too. I mean, I could like something and you don't like it, so
yeah. But I mean, when I saw the review, it actually doesn't look that bad, and I saw other people showing photos receiving. I think is not worth $250, but probably maybe $190, $180, $200. I think it's okay. Actually, it's okay. Not a perfect figure, but I think it's okay.
Very, very interesting. Brent, I don't know if you do any of the Sideshow figures, but your thoughts on these, and what you're thinking here. Kind of a little bit of a mixed bag, a little bit. But what do you think?
I do the Sideshow figures. I'm trying to remember the last Sideshow release, 1/6 scale release I bought, and it probably was the Lando Calrissian Skiff Guard for my Jabba scene. I don't know. This I have not seen Justin's review yet. I need to go check that out on YouTube. I usually check out his everything he does. So I need to see that. I love the character of Anakin Skywalker. To me, that is the greatest movie character of my life. Why? Because of 3 words: rise, fall, redemption.
Absolutely.
It's the story.
Sure.
It's the story of all of us. It's the story of all of us. his story is the story of all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I love this character. I'm in a battle with myself whether or not I want to get this, because I have every single 1/6 scale Anakin Skywalker figure ever released by both Sideshow and Hot Toys. I do not have this one. I have not pre-ordered it yet. I may get this one. I don't know. It looks fine to me. Again, I mean, it's hard for me to really put it into context, Aries, because I haven't seen Justin's reviews. So
Mhm.
I haven't seen it up close. I haven't seen some of the things that maybe he liked, disliked. But based on my memories of the Clone Wars cartoons, I don't know. This looks pretty much, from a facial sculpt standpoint, looks pretty much spot on to me. But again, I haven't gone back and watched all those seasons, in a while.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, Brent, which leads us to the next topic over here we're going to discuss, which is probably the hottest one. And I've noticed this in the past with some figures that created some controversy, very, very similar to Cable, which, yes, we're going to go to Cable now, and we're going to talk about this. And I remember, and I'm trying to remember some of these figures that we were talking about last year. And then once the videos came out, it was like a completely different reaction to it, to the actual figure itself. And I'm going to put this up onto the screen if I can find it, and trying to find this comment. I'm going to go to you, El Professoro, first, when Beskar Kid actually says, the Cable outrage cracks me up. Like collectors didn't know what they were getting when it went up on pre-order. And then I'm seeing some other comments in here where they're looking at reviews today, and I don't know if that's MRCs, because he usually gets that, and I'll have to go check it out. But I know a lot of times, Mario, that the lighting some of these freelancers do that take somebody's pictures of the final prototype photos, sometimes they nail it, sometimes they don't. All of a sudden you get like a video from MRC, or you see Justin's video, or you see Man of Hot's video, and then all of a sudden you have to wonder, you're like, oh, wait a minute, that looks way different than the pictures. So I want to get your thoughts on that, starting off with this, and your thoughts on this figure, because I was reading some comments, and apparently there is some outrage, and then there's some people who are like, why are we outraged? Go, baby.
The outrage, I think, goes way beyond the lighting, man. I mean, look at this photo here. I think it's covering what's the actual flaws of the figure. But looking at this particular photo, the head just looks a little big, in my opinion. I think the head sculpt looks great. I think the getup looks great. It was as far as the tailoring, everything looks good. The problem is that when you remove the cloak, when you remove his shirt, and you get down to the bare body, right there, this is just one of those things in which it happened before with Drax. It happened recently with the Clone Wars Mall. It happened with
it looks really thin to me,
Wolverine.
to be honest with you.
It's
It
extremely
looks a little too thin.
Right. It's way too thin. I mean, Josh Brolin was way more swole than this. Now I know that it took a lot of custom work for that body to get done in regards to into the details with the metal aspects in the arms and in the chest, but I don't see how this gets past the prototype stage. Like Beskar Kid mentioned earlier, everybody knew what they were getting into when we saw the pre-orders go up. It did look thin, but sometimes Hot Toys does go back and change a few things and make things better. Even recently, what we saw with Peacemaker, that was one figure that caught a lot of flack because of the exposed joints and the head sculpt was way off. And then they went ahead and updated it, and it looks a lot better. This one here, man, the proportions are just way off. It's just, I was hanging out with Brother Cousins and Siskel Mafia the other night when this thing came out. He was all excited for it to drop, and then we saw the photos. We're like, what the hell happened?
It does look a little out of proportion. Like when you look at the paddles view on here, I mean, it looks, something looks off with his shoulders going from his head.
The head is too large. The neck is extremely thin. The arms look okay. The forearms look all right.
He looks great here. I mean, to be honest with you,
yeah.
with this picture.
He's covered up with a poncho, in the cloak. He looks a lot better, with that look. But like I said, when you start shipping them down, it just ruins everything, in my opinion, about the figure. Everything that's good about it. But it'll look good on the shelf with, I think, next to Deadpool. Keep him covered up like that.
See, it doesn't look as bad on this angle, though. To be honest with you, it looks proportionate here. That's why I'm, and I agree with you. And here's the interesting thing: I said when the Clone Wars wall came out, I called him the emaciated wall because this looked like that he was just way, way, way too thin. Yeah. And then I didn't get that figure. I don't really. It's not really the look I wanted with wall with that. It's too thin. But I know some people really like that figure, and they'll put it up with his cloak or whatnot. But I think a lot of people. I feel like two ways here, Mario. I feel like you buy this figure, you're gonna want to display him like this because this is kick ass to see this without the cloak on. But I do also get that we knew it was thin in the beginning, but it looks good in some angles for whatever reason.
It does. It just, like I said, the whole effect just falls apart. When you're looking at multiple angles, looking at it up close and up front, it's just like, even right here, it doesn't look too bad. But when you look at his left shoulder, going into that bicep, it's just like, to me, they dropped the ball. But I think aesthetically, everything else, I mean, the way the details that are in the in those sections, they look great. This looks great, in my opinion, right here, this particular photo. But then again, it's the cloak, covering up all the flaws. The head sculpt, I think, is fine. I hear some people, complaining about the likeness isn't there 100%. I think it's decent. I think they did an okay job, but it's just the body where they dropped the ball. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that gun looks good. Doesn't look too bad here on this angle. Let's go ahead and go to Joao. Joao, your thoughts on this? I agree with El Professoro. I think it looks way too thin. But then you go to some pictures like this, and I think it looks fine. But I think at this point in Hot Toys' career, you want to be able to just put it up in any display and have it look great. What do you think on this?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's the problem of the body. At this moment, if you still want this figure, and I think it will look great like this with a poncho all dressed. I think it kind of looks a bit better, but the body is a bit skinnier, and then the proportion with the head is not that great. But I mean, it's like you said in the beginning. Sometimes these blogger photos do not do justice to the figure, so I want to see someone with the figure in hands and how it looks like, because I don't believe that Hot Toys screwed this up so bad. I remember that Clone Wars Darth Maul also have his issues, and this cable, I mean, you look at this photo, it kind of looks great, right?
It looks great here. Like, I'll say, it looks fine.
I think it looks fine. Okay.
But then when you go to that other photo in the beginning, and I almost feel like that they changed their photos a little bit, but like, let's go back to that one. It just looks too thin here, though. But you have to wonder if they made it bigger, would he look too fat with the cloak on? And maybe they just didn't put enough. Like, that looks a little too thin, just being honest.
Definitely.
But here, going back to, he doesn't look too thin here in my view, and the head looks fine. But
here I think it looks fine.
There's another photo where the head looks horrible. I'm trying. No, and I'm going to get to it. I know, Mario, you're the one that I'm going to put up here from the beginning if I could find the darn thing. That's a little weird. God, where is it? They put so many in here. I'm flat. Oh, that's a different one there. He looks a little. Yeah, I don't know if it's just the angles or whatnot, but Doc, let's go to you.
All right, so I have a couple of things with this figure, but so one thing about the head sculpt, that I do think the likeness is definitely there for Josh Brolin, so that's not one of my complaints with it. I do think the expression though that they chose does something to the head sculpt that can make it look really off, especially depending on how the shadows are being cast. It almost looks like he has a bit of an underbite. But my big issues with this figure, especially when you look at it without the cloak on or without the shirt on, we can see that it's disproportionate. What it looks like to me is it looks like a teenage boy's body with like an old man's head on the body. He looks like a
Jesus.
child with an old man head. Or like back in the day on N64 007, when you would have like the big head mode. That's kind of like what
So
it
he
looks
looks like me.
You said it.
Hey Doc, I'm gonna hold you off for 1
Sure.
second, because I'm going to allow Big Breda to go take off to work because it's very very early in the
Yeah.
morning where he is. So I appreciate you just went. We're gonna let Doc continue, but Joao, Big Breda, it's great having you in here tonight. I know it's very early in the morning over there, and yeah, I think we're both on a show this coming Friday on Dante's coming up there at 9 o'clock. So look forward to
Exactly.
seeing you there. And
Yeah.
I know you got a lot going on, but I appreciate you coming on here tonight.
Thank you so much. It was really fun to discuss and to learn more about, because the three of you are the four of you. Sorry, the three of you, four, are well more versed in
You need more spotchka.
well more versed in Star Wars, and it's always good to learn something more. But yeah, it was amazing. It was the best morning I could have, and
Well,
now
listen.
I'm getting off to work and
Well,
feeling great.
well, when you rush to work, don't do this.
Oh, I do it all the time. I do it all the time. See you guys. Have a
Later.
nice
Take care,
evening.
Joao.
All right,
Bye.
Doc,
See
let's
you.
go back to you. I'm so sorry, but you're
No worries. So yeah, going back to Cable here. So this was one of my like top 5 most anticipated pre-orders. I've had this thing paid off for a long time. I'm still debating what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna keep my pre-order because I don't like canceling pre-orders, especially when I have reminders like Jen Erso and Suicide Squad Harley Quinn sitting in my graveyard.
Yeah.
Cable could be one of those figures that just is never ever seen again, and it's good for what it is, but it's not the best. It's not something I would show off in my collection as like this is like the peak of Hot Toys like manufacturing. So I
no, like
wouldn't.
if I showed this to my wife, she'd be like, okay. I mean, like,
Right,
she wouldn't-
exactly. He looks
she'd be
really
like,
cool
okay.
as a toy, but he's not the Cable. This release of
Yeah.
Cable.
But look at this picture here. I mean, this picture, Doc, like he looks horrible here, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But
this is
then-
the photo that makes me think that he looks like a little child with the big head.
Yeah. But then some of these others, it's not. And then the cloak there, I don't know. And has anybody actually seen? And Doc will stay with you. Has anyone seen any of the review? Did MRC do this? Did we see the video?
I don't think not yet. I've been looking. I haven't seen any in-hand reviews yet, other than the Sideshow first look. So yeah, I'm waiting to see some in-hand videos before making my final judgment. Because I mean, he's set to ship whenever he gets into California. So I'll most likely keep it because I have both versions of Deadpool. I need somebody to go with my second version of Deadpool at least. And for what it is, when you have the poncho on, like, because that's how I was gonna have him posed and displayed anyways, was with that poncho. I can hide a lot of the faults that are in this figure. Maybe even go as far as like stuffing a fat suit inside the shirt to give him some traps or something. But
Yeah, just take the fat suit out of the Jedi Knight from Luke Skywalker.
right.
And
Because I laughed so hard though when I saw the final photos come up and Zach from Collecting Weekly had posted, "My man is famished." Because he looks really thin. He doesn't look like he did in the movie. He Josh Brolin, I know, is a tiny guy, but I mean he was pretty cut in Deadpool and so it's kind of interesting to see that they didn't quite hit the nail on the head with this one. especially because I feel like they've been kind of hitting a stride lately where they've just been knocking like almost every figure out of the park. So these last couple of releases have been somewhat questionable.
Yeah, no, and I'm going to go ahead, Mario, and I'm going to give you the last word on this one as we go into the final topic. Kind of relates to this, but um, uh, could this change with the final reviews? Do you think? Could we get it? My personal opinion is I don't think this is great, but I don't think it's god awful if you're willing to pose it in certain ways.
Yeah, there's definitely ways to improve on the look. It's not for everybody. We said earlier that art is subjective, and there are some that do want this figure. I mean, just like Doc, I'm still not sure, what you want to do. Sorry, I kind of zoned out a little bit. I just received some breaking news that the Clone Trooper Chrome version just shipped.
Oh,
so finally, Sideshow.
Listen, this is for you then, Mario.
Now we just need to light a fire under them just to get the freaking Arena Suit Boba Fett to ship.
No.
I got charged for it, man, and now there's a delay on that too. So I don't know. I just hope it's not going to be another 3 weeks. But anyway, yeah, this will look good for some, depending on how you pair it with. I think it'll look good for Deadpool. But I still think the cloak is still the best option as far as like. The display options with the cloak is going to cover up the flaws, in my opinion. It can look good, and it's definitely a possibility that when it comes into more collectors' hands, that minds can change. Because how many times have we seen that in which the sculpt doesn't look really that great, and the blogger photos when we receive it in hand, it's like completely different. I think we saw that recently with with Rey from the Last Skywalker. I know a lot of collectors really enjoyed it.
That the photos were and then the reviews were like, wow. What MRC did was like, boy, this looks like freaking Daisy Ridley. And then all of a sudden, and I got the figure in hand, and I think it's like absolutely unbelievable, that one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see.
I don't know. And actually, I don't think I got to you, Brent. So I'll let you quickly go ahead and just give me your thoughts on Cable. I don't know if you've looked at it. But what do you think about this figure? Obviously, a lot of people complaining about the shoulders, about when he has the poncho off. He does look disproportionate in my opinion on some, but then there's some angles where he doesn't. And I don't know if we got to look like the Rey that Mario was just saying to see those videos to kind of get more of a sense out of it. I think that no matter what, I think the Rey figure looked fantastic, and if the head sculpt was going to be better, it was. And but I don't know if this one's really the most fantastic thing they ever did at the end of the day. But go ahead, go.
No, I agree. I think he certainly looks like he could use a meal or two. He could use a number 3 at the McDonald's drive-thru.
He can use some pizza from Pizza the Hut, which I will play. Go ahead, keep going.
But at the end of the day, I mean, he looks great. I mean, you've got all the accessories. You've got the look. I mean, if you want him, if you're not happy with the thin look, keep him dressed. Get all the clothing on him. Get pose him like you're seeing him right here. I mean, I don't think he's gonna at all. If you're into creating a Deadpool shelf or some scenes or collecting those figures, you need this figure. Okay, so there's no not adding it to your collection.
If I was like collecting this, Brent, and I had Deadpool, I would do something like this, and I'd be like, okay, that's why I'm getting this.
Right. And I also understand too, when you have his clothes off, there's that whole draw to that whole look that he has, when he doesn't have the shirt on. But at the same time, you certainly can, if you can live with creating a scene like that, you're golden. You've got everything you could ever want. That figure, look at that head sculpt. That head sculpt looks fantastic, in my opinion. It's right on. There's a lot to like about that figure. Look at it right there. I mean, there's so much to it. And again, I'm not a Deadpool collector. I just collect the Star Wars stuff. I do Back to the Future. That's my little side hustle. 1/6 scale stuff is Back to the Future, not this particular. But that is look at that look. That is a really nicely detailed facial sculpt. And if that's what people are going to get in the end, I think few are probably going to be very disappointed with that.
No, good points there for sure. And you guys are watching the 6-scale Cantina Hot Toys live at Raw. And we're going to go into the last thing here, guys, that kind of ties into this. And Mario, I'm going to go with you first on this particular topic. And let me go ahead and bring up the banner on the screen so that we can talk about this. So I noticed a lot of comments with this in the Hot Toys post, and a lot of people jumping on Hot Toys. I'm going to put this up. Hot Toys versus InArt versus the world. No, and I just want to bring it up, and we're going to keep it positive because you know me. I'm always going to keep it positive. But Hot Toys versus InArt versus the world. It seems like on some capacity, none of us here believe that this is probably the best issue for a release from Hot Toys. And obviously, a lot of people have a big problem with it. They've also been waiting for it for 4 freaking years, or however long it's been for this figure, because it seems like an eternity to come out. They have some problems in here, but I get the sense where it's like we're jumping on them so hard. And then on the other side of the token, we have to be careful because we just had this with Sideshow, where we had prototypes of the animated figures and people are complaining it's not what we saw. And then we saw this as a prototype and it's not what we saw. And I feel like sometimes with these other companies, because there's going to be more than InArt, and let me say right now, I think InArt's going to hit this out of the park. I think that the Joker's going to look fantastic. I think that the Batman's going to look fantastic, and what they're going to put out is going to work. But are we setting them up to fail with this kind of thinking? Almost it comes across sometimes, oh, Hot Toys, you suck, and Hot Toys are in trouble. Because we don't even have, like let's say Damn Toys, because they have that great Marlon Brando, and they have some great figures. At least they have a body of work. I almost look at it as like a fighter that comes in. I'm the #1 kickboxer in the world. And now I'm coming into MMA and I'm going to go beat up Francis Ngannou. I'm like, well, you may have to get a couple of fights first. At least get one amateur fight before we start propelling you up to that level. Do we set these other companies that are going to be coming up to fail? While we could be very hopeful, pre-order, get really, really excited. Is the conversation like Hot Toys is dead? Hot Toys, you're in very much trouble. This one figure is going to blow you out of the water. Close up, go out of business. It's a little too premature, Mario.
Absolutely. It's way too premature to call that. Hot Toys is doing fine. They've got, their track record speaks for itself. They put out amazing product. Even some of the older ones, they hold up to this day. Sometimes, they have a bad day in the office. It's fine. Get over it and, move on to the next one. But in regards to InArt, I think there is a lot of preconceived notions where they're putting InArt, on a pedestal, against Hot Toys, where, yes, we don't have any figures in hand yet, but I think InArt is concentrating more on the, realism and the artistry of the figure itself. We saw production samples of the Joker that came out. The tailoring looks phenomenal. The head sculpt's on point.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. They look really good. I saw from Scale Mafia actually put them up.
Yeah,
some big ones.
We spoke with John over there at Queen Studio the other night, and we're going to be seeing some more, I believe, in hand of the final production sample, the entire thing assembled for the Joker pretty soon. In which the first batch, I believe, is expected to ship at the end of the year sometime. Or earlier, or actually, I think it's in like November, December, where the first batches will ship. Then you're going to start seeing some of the initial reactions. Well, artistically, they're going to look great. I have full faith in them that they're going to be able to pull off what they're showing us.
Yes.
But I think where a lot of collectors are going to be disappointed is in the articulation. The fact that they're using some magnets in some areas where the articulation is questionable in regards to the wrist pegs, in regards to the neck joint, they haven't really been clear as far as how much articulation is in these figures right now. Granted, some of the poses that they show in the prototypes, they look amazing, but I feel like a lot of collectors will be let down, because of that. They're not going to have as much articulation as the Hot Toys. I believe they came out and said that for the Batman, that's going to be the case. That the Hot Toys Batman will actually have more articulation than InArt's version. So in that case, it's kind of a double-edged sword. But the thing is that, again, with the quality that they're putting in here in regards to the materials, into the rooted hair, into the paint apps is going to be, I don't want to say it's going to be questionable, but I'm curious as to how it will compare with Hot Toys, because they do some great paint apps as well for their sculpts. And InArt, just on the Joker alone, looks like it's going to be, next level, in my opinion. I think a lot of the praise warrants, and I know a lot of people won't agree, is that the fact that what Queen Studios has already done in regards to their statues. Yes, it's a different company, but some of the artists that were already there are for InArt right now, with
absolutely
with Viper basically leading the way. He already has a track record with Queen Studios. You can go look at his work. And see
Viper's great. They
produced.
have that White Pilgrim, that Gandalf, the white, which is one of the best figures I've ever seen in my life.
And that's the same, his people are putting in that same product for the 6 scale InArts. So I think quality-wise, the realism, we're going to be in good hands. It's just the price, though, man. I know not everybody can justify that. These are expensive figures. But in my opinion, I think you do get what you pay for when this Batman is superior, in my opinion, to the Hot Toys version. In regards to the proportions of the body in this case, you can look at the traps, look at the shoulders, the biceps, the arms. Everything looks like it just flows naturally, like as if there's an actual living person within that suit. Properly scaled, properly proportioned, to Robert Pattinson here. Where Hot Toys does look a little bit more on the toy side. Exactly, Charlie. They're works of art and not action figures. And that's not everybody's going to be, gravitated towards that. Some people will say that it's going to be like, more of a statue, in a sense. Somewhat of a glorified, articulated statue, which is fine for some of us.
Which would be fine for some collectors as well. I mean, don't you kind of have that, I was going to say premium format figure, but it's not really a figure. It's Sideshow it's kind of more of a...
It's a statue.
It's a statue. But they call it a figure,
really
though.
Doesn't move. Yeah, for some reason, I guess because some of the... I don't know. I don't know why they do that, to be honest.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
It's kind of like why Hot Toys calls some figures the DX now. No, just kidding. Anyway.
You're not wrong, dude. But yeah, man, it's just I'm really excited to see what they're going to come out with. And from what I'm hearing from John, the Joker's right around the corner. And
real. Yeah,
I think the next announcement they mentioned is going to be Aragorn. So that's going to be coming up soon.
Well, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and if are they using the artist then from Viper to do the Aragorn to do that character, that's going to be incredible, because, like I said, that Viper Studios, the White Pilgrim, forget about it. I mean, I'd love for them to do, if they do that Gandalf, man, that's just absolutely incredible. But no, good thoughts there, Mario. Let's keep the conversation going, because this is the last topic. Let's go to Doc. I'm going to go to you here on this. I think Mario brings up some great points. They do have experience in the statue arena. This may be more like a statue. There may be, perhaps some concerns articulation, but there's going to be some collectors who are buying it for that type of thing. Your thoughts on what he said, and do we need to just be careful that we don't set up for failure, because we've seen even from Hot Toys, and maybe with the Cable figure, for instance, or we see from Sideshow with a couple of their figures of that, hey, if something doesn't come out right, whether it's articulation or something isn't exact that way, that we give that time to at least get a body of work before we start saying, hey, it's really Hot Toys has got this is the competition. Don't we got to get some figures out first to establish that, hey, you've got some competition, baby? Because if they're going to be putting these out like this, you guys better wake up. Go.
Yeah, like Mario said, it's a bit of a double-edged sword with InArt, because a lot of us want to wait and see what InArt can actually do. But what I'm betting on the brand. I'm very confident in InArt right now. There were some questions that came up during the Gandalf release, and I'm in it with them for the Joker. I did eventually pre-order the Gandalf before that did kind of trickle away with Spec Fiction, because I didn't want to miss out on that. I love Lord of the Rings, and I want to have the best of the best when it comes to the Lord of the Rings series, because the Asmus isn't really cutting it for me. But when I saw this Batman figure, my confidence level boosted even more, because like Mario was saying, it looks like there's a person inside the suit. The proportions look exceptional. It looks like Robert Pattinson is inside the suit. I would say it's correct to his body. I feel like I'm actually looking at it, and I showed side by sides to my wife of the Hot Toys version and InArt version, and I was like, which one's better? And every time it was the InArt version, and I was like, I got to get this then, because I think what the risk is with waiting on the sideline to wait and see what InArt can do, you're potentially missing out. And I don't like to use FOMO, but I think because they're so new, they're not really going to be producing more than they need. I think there's going to be.
That's a good point.
Right. I think there's going to be cutoffs, and not necessarily edition sizes and things like that. But if a retailer puts in X amount of orders, that's how many InArt's going to make, and then that's it. So I think their biggest batch size so far is the Joker, due to the popularity and the length of time it's been since there's been a Heath Ledger Joker. And then from what I've heard, like the Gandalf and Pennywise received less and less pre-orders on subsequent releases. So this Batman figure, though, has had some good reception to it. So there's a possibility you could potentially wait and see before you decide to pre-order somewhere, because pre-orders may still be open after that window closes. Because I know I got my Gandalf after the window closed, but Spec Fiction still has some allotment, so I was able to get in on that. So there's a possibility that could happen with this Batman, and by then it's likely the Joker could be released so that people can get an idea of what to expect. But as the days go by, right, and as the days go by, and John kind of communicates a little bit more, and they share a little bit more photos with us each day, I'm more and more confident that they know what they're doing, and it's not just going to be like another Molecule 8 situation. And it's also a double-edged sword for InArt too, because they want to put out their pieces for pre-order. They understand that maybe some people might want to wait and see, what they can do, but they're not going to delay their timeline just to put out one figure before putting out another pre-order, because they got to keep the production line rolling. And it sounds like they're already starting production on some figures before even putting them up for pre-order officially. So,
which is a good sign. That's a good sign in and of itself.
So I think they've taken what they've learned from their ways as a statue company, and they're bringing that to their 6-scale line. I think they've got a good team over there. So I'm betting on the brand, and I would have loved to have been on the ground floor of Hot Toys and getting like MMS 001, or something like that. So to be able to say, like, I got their first production run of the Joker, and then subsequently the Gandalf figure. I'm skipping Pennywise, but I'm definitely going to get their Batman over the Hot Toys version, I think. And if Aragorn really is next, like, that's the next pre-order I'm putting in with them, because no one's really done a good Aragorn figure yet. So
no, I haven't.
If they keep going down this route, I think I'm definitely, gonna keep collecting InArts, here and there, especially for the Lord of the Rings line. So I'm confident, and I'm trying not to set them up, like hype them up for, but the way I see it, they're coming out like a #1 draft pick. They're out there strutting their stuff, like they got the goods. They seem like a blue chip player. And so I'm very confident in them. I know there's a lot of other collectors.
I think it's safe to pre-order. I think it's safe to dip your foot into the water, test the water, put it out.
Right.
They've been very upfront. They've been on shows. They've been talking about this. So I think that's good. But the proof will be in, I think, to say, hey, you're better than Hot Toys in every way. Once we get a little bit of a body of work to be able to take all that data and say, okay, collectively, you are, or this one is, but then, Hot Toys is going to make moves as well, probably, with what's going on here. and that's going to be the next question. So let me go to Brent here. This is the last topic we're talking about. Brent, will Hot Toys answer to this? Because this does look pretty damn good. And I've seen the photos, and I've seen the photos that both Doc and Mario are talking about. It looks good. And as Doc was saying, he brought up to his wife, hey, which was better? She's picking this one on the prototypes. So my question is, and we don't know if does Hot Toys start making rooted hair? Does Hot Toys care? Does Hot Toys be like, wow, okay, this is a #1 draft pick, but they're not necessarily, where we are yet. What do they do with this, do you think, Hot Toys?
Well, look, competition is a good thing. Okay.
Yes.
Let's just lay that out there. And I worked in TV news for 31 years. And if I didn't have a competitive nature about me, I would not have lasted 31 years in that industry. Okay. You want to win the story. Okay. That's what I had to do for 31 years of my life. And that is what is happening here. InArt wants to win the story. Okay. And they're coming coming through the side door, and they've dropped the gauntlet. Okay. There you go. Look at that right there. And they're basically saying, Hot Toys, come get us. I think Hot Toys has to be concerned. I think Hot Toys has to be taking a look at what is being purchased and paying attention to data from InArt as they go along. Let me ask you guys this. They don't have the Star Wars license, right? They don't have any ability to be able to dip into that, right?
It's hard.
Not yet.
Not yet, but it's hard for,
I mean, it would be, I think Hot Toys still has the market cornered there, but
if they put stuff out like this and, Disney notices, obviously they're going to notice they're putting out.
This is really the first time that I can think of in the last 5, 6, 7 years since Hot Toys has kind of morphed into taking over the 1/6 scale figure line from Sideshow that Hot Toys has to look in the rearview mirror now. And they've got somebody coming up on them. And I think they need to seriously be thinking about, okay, we've got to become a stronger player. I mean, we've got to make these figures a little bit better, and we've got to offer a little bit more because somebody else has tossed their hat into the ring. And that is exactly what I think. I mean, that figure right there is great. And you're right. Do they do real hair? I mean, do they have to consider those types of things now? It's a great question.
Yeah, and I think Commander Crook has a point. I'm going to go more towards yours on it. Hot Toys doesn't have to compete. There's a huge price difference between the two. In the future, Hot Toys could fall to the #2 slot. And I've never personally been happy at #2. I want to be #1. So maybe Hot Toys, Howard's going to be that way. But let me go to you here, Mario, with the final word before we wrap up on this. How does Hot Toys answer this? Do you think they do answer it? I actually think that they're going to answer to it. My concern is going to be price. I sure hope that we start getting, if they start doing rooted hair or start stepping up their game or start doing some stuff like this, I'm hoping it's just more of a paint app artist competition where not necessarily you gotta charge more for figures, but I do kind of wonder, because I don't think InArt's going to be the last. I think that there's probably companies we don't even know about that are looking at this
right around the corner,
right? That are they're not going to sit back and be like, oh no, we're not even going to try to compete with Hot Toys or InArt. So what's your thought on that? Is Hot Toys going to answer? And B, any concern at all that prices are going to go up more than inflation as like car companies compete with each other? Now you got to spend $60,000 for a Camaro. It costs more than a Mercedes.
Well, I think Hot Toys is already answering. If you notice, like some of the figures that we saw during SDCC, look at the Wolverine with the swap out arms. Look at the Mark III 2.0. They're giving us these diorama bases that are more kind of statue orientated, in a sense, and they're looking phenomenal. The prices are going up. Yes, they are. However, I think the value is still there when it comes to Hot Toys. I think there are some pieces that they're going to be shown. They're going to be shown a little bit more love to, than others. Case in point, the cable that we just saw. I don't think they, considering how long that thing has been, on hold or what have you, been delayed. They just didn't show didn't give it the proper TLC that they should have. But in regards to some of the swap outs that they're doing with the Star Wars line, we're seeing USB powered lightsabers. We're also seeing other USB powered functionality, light up features, and some of the Iron Man figures as well. So while I don't personally think that's innovation, that's an improvement. It's a huge improvement and a bit of as far as like, I don't want to say necessarily stepping up to InArt, and what they have going on, but still it's an improvement nonetheless. They did recently come out and show us an updated hair swappable piece for their Batman. I know the initial one wasn't received that well. However, when they did show us an update, then hey, they're starting to become more transparent, with some of their progress and their pieces. So perhaps this could lead, to more future transparency during other production runs and some of their other figures, which they could improve on that for sure. It would be nice if we can get some sort of representative to, from Hot Toys to start showing up on some of these panels and answer some of these questions, that we do have.
Oh, wouldn't that change the game?
That would be huge for them.
I mean, that would be very huge, but they don't. It would be great for them to come on.
Yeah, absolutely. But in regards to the pricing, I don't think they're going to go ahead and, bump it up even more so just for inflation's sake. They need to keep the pricing low, I think, in order to, stay above what InArt is doing. That's how you're going to sell and still be more competitive is your pricing. While your quality does improve, you still got to keep the prices, fairly competitive, or even better so than what your competitors are offering.
And is that possibly the body of work when you're talking about who ultimately will be king? Because maybe it'll be a case where some figures are going to be better from InArt, and maybe some figures are going to be better from Hot Toys, and it's going to be a trade-off in the future. This one's better, that one's better, and then maybe another company, comes around, and they have one better than InArt and better than Hot Toys. But then Hot Toys and InArt have one better than that other company. But maybe if the price like that Grand Inquisitor that just came out for $260, which is pretty reasonable, I thought, for $260. If they continue to do that, maybe the whole body of work, you kind of say Hot Toys is still number one.
No, I absolutely agree with that. Again, pricing is what's going to be more attractive. Pricing along with the licensing, so because Hot Toys has like all the, license that we all want. DC, Marvel, Star Wars, some of the one-off ones, that we're seeing. And right now, where Star Wars is at, Star Wars is pretty much king right now in culture, as of now, for the most part. So they're selling, they're selling fairly well. They're doing well for Hot Toys. But then again, InArt is just responding, I think, with the artistry. How lifelike, how realistic, can their figures be, and also somewhat competitively priced, for that realism, what you're going to pay for that realism. But definitely where Hot Toys is gonna succeed is the pricing for sure, as their quality improves.
And as we end the show, when you talk about Star Wars right now, number one in culture, all because of filling up table 2, this guy.
This is the way.
Absolutely.
Man,
100%.
and Grogu not to be discluded as we fill up table 5 for the last time. Guys, this was a fun damn show. And I had other couple of topics, but we're not going to get into it. I've been on here just about 2.5 hours, and I'm going to let you guys go. But we got to do this again. El Professoro, you're in the Cantina. I've got the link to El Profesoro's channel in the video description below. You need to go ahead and subscribe to this guy right now. We've done some things. We've done quite a few shows in the past. We're going to do more, Mario. I hope we do a lot more.
You say the word, man.
Absolutely. Let's
I'll be
do
around.
it. Doc also's got a channel that you're growing, my friend. I got the link to Doc in the video description below. Of course, Doc also a great supporter since I've been on over here. Make sure you guys all subscribe to Doc. Seriously. And then also with Brent, Star Wars Newsman doesn't have a channel yet, but Brent, maybe he'll work on one, and then we will promote that. But real fun having the three of you in here for sure. Also, it's fun having Joao, Big Breda in here, and having Victoria in here as well. Remember, I will be live with Victoria at 10:30 p.m. on her channel, one-on-one, this coming Friday. So you don't want to miss that for sure. And of course, before then, I will be on with my man Dante, the man of hot collectibles, before that. But guys, a lot of fun, but I am just about done. So
great topics, Aries. Great topics. Great topics.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
Thank you.
I don't always buy spotchka and coffee out, but when I do, you know it's coming. I buy it from 6 Scale Cantina. Stay thirsty, my friends.
Good night, gents.